On March 10th, 2020, harsh news struck the state of Michigan amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. Our state had its first 2 confirmed cases in Wayne and Oakland counties. By April, we had moved up to 3rd in the nation for coronavirus cases and deaths, largely due to the developing hotspot in Michigan's largest metropolitan area, Detroit. News outlets and social media sites have flooded our screens with images of overcrowded hospitals and pleas for the federal government to provide for our state's shortage of ventilators and personal protective equipment for our frontline workers. But just how accurate has the media's portrayal of Michigan's experience with COVID-19 been? Choosing to remain anonymous, a West Michigan native gave Beyond the Rock her side of the story as a respiratory therapist serving on the front lines in Detroit.
We're there for one reason. It's to help the patients, it's to do our jobs, well, and hopefully, get these patients off the vents and back home to their families.
We asked specifically about the media's accuracy on 3 main topics: the equipment, the staff, and the numbers.
What is being said in the media about what's going on in Detroit, I'm not necessarily seeing.
Reports of shortages of medical and protective equipment like hospital beds, ventilators, and masks have been circling the media for weeks. But according to this frontline worker, her access to these tools in Detroit doesn't seem to match the hysteria.
We have not had any issues with shortages. We have more than enough PPE. We have more than enough vents in our hospital. We have a surplus, actually. They're saying that we're running out of beds, but we've got 2 large hospital systems that are completely closed down. There's only maybe 1 or 2 hospitals that are having issues with the PPE and not having enough ventilators, but we've been able to share our equipment to do what we need to do to get the job done.
After months of social distancing, the United States has been experiencing something of a nationwide economic shutdown. As the number of COVID cases climbs, so does the unemployment rate. It seems that even essential workers are not immune to the harsh repercussions of our receding economy.
You're seeing all these hospitals laying off employees, but then they're saying they don't have enough staff, and that doesn't make sense to us. Why not relocate those staff members to other hospitals that actually need them? We're very short-staffed.
In some counties, case counts doubling in as little as 3 days. With some of the strictest social distancing policies in the country, Michigan's numbers are baffling.
Every death is labeled a COVID death, and I think that's just making the numbers go to the way that they want it to be because they're getting paid per COVID patient, whereas these patients have been in the hospital. They have multiple disease processes and comorbidities that they had long before, and that's what actually put them into the hospital. Unfortunately, they might have gotten COVID while we were there, but to label them a COVID death, it's frustrating because that's not what killed them.
If our own frontline workers can attest to inaccurate reports, is the media really doing its job?
My personal opinion is that the media has not done anything beneficial during this epidemic.
This has been Kelley with Beyond the Rock, signing off.